As the founder and president and CEO of the Renee Jones Empowerment Center, I would share with our audience how this all started. For those of you that don't know, I used to work with the homeless population when I had a full-time job. And what I learned from that experience is that we needed to have a center that would be able to be offering services to the community to address certain issues within the community, but with programs that were innovative, exciting, and we would have not a lot of restrictions, but be able to do whatever the person needed to become empowered. And that was the philosophy that made me want to start a community center. We started the center in 2002 in the Detroit Shoreway area, which is in Cleveland, Ohio. A very small storefront, probably less than 1,000 square feet. And there was one big room where everything happened, one tiny office, and one really, really tiny little bathroom that was for everyone to use. So I want you to get a visual picture of how this all began. And in that little place, lots of programs and services occurred in the community before we became known for really working with the issue of human trafficking and sexual assault victims. We were a community center that had programs for children and adults that included life skills, all kind of programs for the holidays, and many different support groups to deal with the issues that were going on in that community. For single parents, we had lots of single parents and lots of children that were unattended. So at that time, when we first opened, we had a large variety of people that came, from children to adults. And as the years progressed on, in 2008, we started outreach, because one of the problems in our community where the center was located was the problem of prostitution. And the community where we were located was, lots of new homes were going up, things were changing, but that issue was still very prevalent in that area. And so I thought, well, we're here to make a difference in this community. And that is when Project Red Cord was birthed. We started to do outreach, and you'll learn a little bit more about that from one of our former board chairs, who's going to talk about the very first grant that we wrote that got us the opportunity to start outreach. But in 2008, we began to do street outreach. We began to go to the streets with a team that we had and do outreach. And we learned then the very prevalent issue of human trafficking. We seen it firsthand, and there was no one talking about human trafficking. When you mention human trafficking, people thought, oh, that doesn't happen here. It happens in other countries. Well, we seen firsthand it was very definitely happening in this community that we were in. And as years went on, we learned to find out it was happening all over, in a lot of different communities, even if it was urban areas or suburban areas. I can tell you over these 20 years, we've seen people from all types of neighborhoods, wealthy, ghettos, urban areas, and rural areas. So human trafficking does not discriminate. I want to make that clear. But I wanted to give you a little bit of how this all journey started. When I found the building to rent, we did not have any funding, and I really didn't know how we would pay for this building every month. But I knew that something needed to be created that was sustainable. And that's why we rented this little storefront building. And we lived there for 17 years. And in 17 years, we've seen miraculous stories of empowerment and life-changing and changing of the neighborhoods and meeting people on outreach, giving them hope. And that's a little bit about how we started. And we are in a new facility that we've been in now for 3 years. And it's larger, we've grown so much. But I always want people to know that small beginnings are very important, because those years help us to really learn from the people that we were serving, not to determine what we thought people should have, but we are hearing straight from the people who need the services what they needed. And that's how we began to develop. We began to innovate and create things that were different, and things that were programs and services that would empower those that we were serving. So that's a little bit about the history of the Renee Jones Empowerment Center. our beginning. And if you follow us now, you have seen the growth over these 20 years. So I think all of the people that have been involved, that you're going to hear from some of those people today that made it all possible. All of the donors, all of the hundreds of volunteers and donors that have contributed over the years that made this center possible. We salute you. I salute you. I thank you for following my vision, making it a reality. And I thank you for that.